Joining me now to discuss President Xi's speech is William Li. He is the chief economist at the Milken Institute. William, great to see you. First, I want to get your reaction to the president's speech. We heard terms like open world economy and economic globalization. How did you interpret his message this year?
I thought the message was a very reassuring message, especially given the policy changes that have gone on in China for the last year, where the dual circulation strategy, the change in emphasis for the internet companies, the change in policies seem to have China going in a much more self-contained, self-directed kind of policy. Whereas now I think President Xi is trying to reassure the world that China is very much a part of the global economy and wants to enlarge the pie. And China's way of dividing the pie is his own way of Chinese methods of common prosperity and try to set up institutions to divide the pie within China. But I think his main message to the world is we all need to enlarge the size of the pie so that everyone can have more.
And how do you think this was interpreted around the world, the big takeaways, given the audience of the World Economic Forum? Do you think that they heard what they were hoping and waiting to hear?
Well, it's a skeptical audience in the sense that the global audience has heard many mixed messages from China. And as I said, the dual circulation strategy, the focus on the revising the policies for property market has changed China's domestic economy. And really, there's a lot of headwinds facing China right now, especially in the short term. And I think President Xi's confidence in the longer term is something that everyone shares. But the question that all of us are still asking is, how is President Xi and his policymakers going to implement policies in a way that restores China's policy of growth and at the same time meet the objectives of climate, green, and energy. Those are the kind of challenges that are facing every country, but especially China, which is moving from a state of emerging market to a developed market.
I want to ask you more about growth. President Xi spoke about the post-COVID economy. China's growth, its GDP was the highest it had been in about a decade, 8.1% last year. I want to get your thoughts on that and then the outlook for China in 2022.
I think China's achievement this year is really quite spectacular considering what's going on in the world. But the worrying thing that all of us economists and global forecasters are looking at is the slowdown. China's fourth quarter GDP year on year has slowed down to 4%. Going into next year, most of my forecasting colleagues are penciling in below 6% growth for China. But it's really the quality of growth that matters for China. And I think what the policies that are being put in place in China are trying to do is to bolster domestic demand, bolster consumption, retail sales. I think going forward, if these policies succeed, and the key to these policies will be the revisions in how the property market will be a source of savings for consumers. If consumers are allowed a broader set of assets for savings, that's going to be a great sign of hope that savings will be made safe for everyone out there in China, and people will be reassured to the point of being able to resume consumption again. Right now, people are worried and they're saving a lot more because they don't know where COVID is going, they don't know where the property market is going, they don't know where other domestic policies are going. That kind of reassurance is something we need to hear from President Xi over the next year.
I want to get your thoughts on a couple of different things related to consumption. We do have Chinese New Year coming up, usually a lot of spending around that time. We also have the Olympics where China is saying no visitors, no foreign visitors or they won't allow tickets being sold to watch the games. And then thirdly, we have, looking ahead to the first part of the year, President Xi has announced that China will donate 1 billion doses to Africa. So I want to get your take on the COVID situation and how that pandemic recovery is going to affect all of this going into 2022.
That is absolutely the most vital question of the time right now, and you've asked exactly the right question, which is how is China going to combat COVID going forward? The draconian zero-tolerance policy has really shut down the global supply chains to the point where it's endangered global growth as well as China's own growth. And I think going forward, to bolster retail sales, to reassure people that they are safe going out to restaurants and going out to enjoy themselves within the domestic economy of China, that's really the key to bolstering growth going forward. And the quality of growth is going to come through, again, the implementation of the dual circulation strategy. If China is able to preserve the innovations coming from the internet sector and these global internet type companies and high-tech companies, that will be the key to raising wages and growth in the domestic economy. And I hope the policies going forward will be able to accommodate the needs of innovation and also the needs for stability.